Joining us now live, Professor Emeritus, Harvard Law School, author of The Preventive State, Alan Dershowitz. Professor, thanks for coming in, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Seems like a defining moment, not just in this president's second term, but any president. Talk about where you put this in history tonight, sir.
Oh, it's a very, very important date. One cannot imagine a President Kamala Harris having pulled this off, or President Joe Biden having pulled this off. This required the unique combination of skills, the negotiating skills of President Trump and the military skills of the Israeli army. Without Israel's military successes in wiping out Hezbollah, destroying Hamas, hurting Iran's nuclear reactor, I don't think any negotiation would have been possible. So it's this wonderful combination of American diplomacy and military prowess from Israel that resulted in this this great and important day. It also shows how important it is for the United States and Israel to work together, and how important it is for these idiots on college campuses to stop their protests and to stop calling for the end of Israel and to try to work together for a peaceful Middle East. Remember, these useful idiots on college campuses have no interest in a Palestinian state or the Palestinian people. They just want to see the end of Israel. They want to see the Jewish state. They want to, if they could, see the end of the Jewish people. So this is hate versus constructive building, and I'm hoping maybe we can build on this and move toward a more permanent resolution of Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords. All of this is a good step.
Well, you raise another important point, which is what of the state of the Free Palestine movement tonight, because we're hearing that the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is expected now to be in Egypt as well with President Trump and other leaders in the region. And it's President Trump that is making sure aid is now getting into Gaza at the same time that he's getting Israeli hostages freed. So where does that leave the Free Palestine movement that wants to wipe Israel off the map when it's an American president working with Israelis and the Palestinians to bring all of these important people together, sir?
Well, there are several different movements. There's the Free Palestine movement, which means the end of Israel. That's not getting anywhere. It will still resonate on college campuses. The Norwegian soccer team will scream and yell at the World Cup, Free Palestine, and Israel. European governments will recognize the non-existent state of Palestine. That's not going to happen. The other alternative is a movement, maybe over 10 years, toward a two-state solution. But that two-state solution has to start with the Palestinians recognizing Israel's right to exist as the nation state of the Jewish people. I've met with Mahmoud Abbas personally just over dinner and asked them directly, would you recognize Israel as the nation state of the Jewish people? And he said, absolutely not. So without that, we're not going to have a two-state solution, because what the extremists want is not two states, but one state. They want to see something called Palestine replace the viable state of Israel.
Right. Yes, Professor, there are many thousands of people gathering in Hostages Square, as we mentioned, tonight, as well as last night. Here was a scene last night when the names of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu were brought up. Listen.
To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and to President Donald J. Trump.
So you hear the cheers for President Trump there in Tel Aviv. We've heard about red MAGA hats being handed out there in Hostages Square. He's obviously very popular for all of these peace efforts. And the boos for Prime Minister Netanyahu when he's mentioned by the special envoy to the president, Steve Witkoff. What is your thought about the road ahead for the Prime Minister and what President Trump may say in the Knesset tomorrow to try to bring people together there as well?
Well, Israelis are very, very, very critical of their government. In fact, if we had the same situation in the United States, you'd probably hear boos for Trump and more cheers for Netanyahu. Netanyahu did a great job in militarily making it possible for Trump to bring about a diplomatic solution. And, I wouldn't have any objection if both of them were nominated next year for the Nobel Peace Prize, because one without the other wouldn't have worked. It requires Israel's military strength combined with America's military strength, the B-2s and all of that. This was a combined victory of democracy over tyranny, of liberal democracy, I mean liberal with a small L, over
Yeah.
tyrannical extremism. And when America and Israel work together, nothing can stop them. But when they divide, they are much, much weaker. And many Americans and many Israelis want to see them divided. And they are foolish and they are self-defeating. So what we have to do is strengthen the unity of Israel and the United States against the enemies of both Israel and the United States. You know, scratch an anti-Zionist, and you're going to very quickly find an anti-American person. The vast majority of radical college campuses hate America with a passion. AOC hates America. Ilhan Omer hates America. Mondami hates America.
Yes.
And their hatred of Israel is often just a symptom of the hatred of America.
No, and Mamdani may be the next mayor of New York City. We shall see. Professor Alan Dershowitz on a historic night. We appreciate your insights. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.